Our first seminar of the year here. Human voice, it is the perfect instrument. A few jokes to get us all lively and happy. So who can say why the soprano was arrested? Any ideas? She was in trouble.
Yeah.
Cute. I need the cymbal. Boom. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, another chance. What kind of music are balloons afraid of?
Pop.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes. Pop music.
There you go.
All right. That's $50,000 and a free trip to Guatemala.
Oh boy.
Fantastic. And why did the pianist keep banging her head on the keys? That sounds painful. She was playing by ear.
Oh.
You know, it's really hard to when you don't have any fingers. You give it a try, and it's just not really happening. Your voice is your life, and you're going, why is he calling it your voice is your life? What does that mean? Because it is. Don't you think about it? Think about it. Think about your life without a voice. It's crazy. Here's my vision statement. Everyone is already born a vocalist. True. And each voice is a unique divine gift. True. It's like a snowflake. And I want to help create as many healthy, powerful, and clear voices as possible while I'm running around down here. Your voice is your life. And if there's any time you have a question about anything, there might be, feel free to raise your hand and we'll answer the question during this seminar. Okay, your voice is your life. So we're going to have a little momentary meditation and maybe some feedback. Take a quiet moment and just imagine how your life would radically change without your voice. How would it change?
You couldn't get the things you want because it would be difficult to express what it is you want.
Right.
Me.
Right. How about you, Kevin?
It would be quiet and lonely.
Quiet and lonely. True. Jenna?
No opportunities to laugh and have fun.
Right. And how about professionally? You just think, look what I do. What I'm going to do, write you guys a note on paper, the many years of coaching, it has been amazing to me to encounter how many students were so afraid to vocalize, including myself, due to past judgments on them when they did. I actually had a student one time, she was in her 60s, I believe, at the time, and she goes, I really want to do this. I was so afraid because somebody told me when I was in whatever grade I was tone deaf. So I just shut my mouth my whole life. And there's an interesting word called glossophobia. It's a very common phobia characterized by a strong fear of public speaking. Individuals with glossophobia may avoid speaking in public, as they typically experience fear and anxiety when speaking in front of a group of people. Glossophobia is believed to affect up to 75% of the population. Isn't that amazing? 75%. And look at that kid.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that the junior high?
Book report.
Yeah, something like that. Out in the auditorium, get his award, make a speech. You may want to avoid embarrassed or rejection by others and just hide out. And how about this guy? You ever been this guy? Yeah, sometimes. We all have those moments.
Yeah.
I had it today when I was thinking about doing this. A little bit of glossophobia. Yeah, but I'm human, so I want it to go right. I want to be prepared and all those good things and make sure the technology is functioning, which it appears to be. Negative messages that create the fear of vocalizing. Your voice is horrible. Don't sing. Don't do it. Go away. You are tone deaf. I've heard this before lots. And don't ever sing again. I have had numerous people. Someone told me I was tone deaf. And the truth is, some people sing out of tune more than other people initially because they don't have the training. Maybe the air is not flowing right in their voice because they don't have the training to keep the air flowing. But that can be fixed. All these things can be fixed. The truth is, I have only encountered one truly tone-deaf student since 1992. It took a year to work with this kid, and within that time, he sang 3 songs perfectly in tune and plays guitar after a year. It was just a matter of training his mind in his larynx when he heard a G to reinforce that the G was what was coming out of his vocal cord. It just took that connection to be able to do that. So what is the difference between these 2 instruments, the voice and the clarinet? Anybody have an idea? Other than the obvious.
The voice can hit virtually any note or partial, and the clarinet has a certain set of notes.
Yeah, it's a little different, but that's true. That is true.
What about the reed on the clarinet?
The reeds, that's a difference, and that's kind of like the vocal cords, isn't it? Which is a reed, basically, as we'll see. It's not that. It's that the kid who plays the clarinet, right, and he squeaks them all the way down the street and goes to school, and everybody goes, stop squeaking, you're a clarinet, or your mom's playing it. He can go, I think I'll change over to the trumpet, or I'll change over to the blank, right? I think I'll play a guitar. I'll take that clarinet back and everything else. But the person with the voice who's out of tune, they can't take that instrument back. You're stuck. This is what you got. Is the solution really this complicated? I mean, this is like somebody's realistic website about glossophobia, fear of speaking. Look at this. If you read it, it's just it's crazy. It just makes the therapist a lot of money. I just don't believe that. I believe there's much simpler things to get away with it. So what is the solution? Knowledge equals confidence. When I teach people about how everything works, and then they start seeing the results pretty quick, sometimes in the first lesson, they get confident all of a sudden. Oh, okay, wow, that's cool. Once we discover how the voice operates and learn to master its incredible abilities, we will begin the path to become powerful and confident vocalists. Interesting stories. So we have the tone-deaf guitar student. I kind of mentioned him. There's a corporate trainer, Tarzan, treated by 2 voice doctors, and she was losing her job. Angel's fan who wanted to vocalize, yell at the umpire without getting a sore throat. And the vocal student who was also a 200-meter competitor. Who wants to hear what story?
All of them.
Well, we don't have time for that.
I like the Angels.
Okay, that's a great story. That's a funny one. So I had a vocal student that graduated, went on to do her thing, and she referred me this guy. And he was having serious vocal problems, starting to have serious vocal problems, because he had the seat behind home plate, one of those guys, and yelling all the time. And he was losing his voice just because he was yelling at the umpire, at the whatever, and going crazy. So I'm going, well, that's interesting. This is an interesting one. So we did my usual 3-month intensive with possible extensions if people want to do that. And I did the same thing, the techniques we're going to talk about tonight, techniques that my 2 students know, and how we project sound from a different space than we're used to projecting sound. And his voice was cleared up at the end. He graduated. He was much louder. He wasn't in pain. And he actually called me a few months later and says, man, thanks a lot. I don't have any more sore throat. I'm more obnoxious than I was. I'm louder than I was. And I'm not sore. It's really cool. Thank you very much. That makes your day.
He didn't bring you to the game, though, did he? Because the umpire would have been really angry with you.
Yeah, no, I didn't identify myself there. But that just shows that the training that we're going to be talking about has really not just singers or not just speakers. It's just like regular folks, Their voice is your life. And why should you want to know how to run your voice better and understand how it works, since it's that important? Okay, my background. So I moved to San Clemente in 1962. And my mom's a folk singer. She starts teaching every kid, and that's when there was 5,000 people in San Clemente, from San Clemente to like San Capistrano, Dana Point. And there was nothing here, okay? And so she's teaching every kid in our living room. And then my dad opens up a studio for her downtown, which turned into a club, the Four Muses. We'll get to that. But here we are in our family shop, our promo for the business, right? And, here I am right here, a big smile on my face. Playing a guild. Yeah, that's right. There's Jeff, my mom, my big brother Michael, and there's my dad. And they opened up this club called the Four Muses. We have a Facebook page called the Four Muses. I got 550 members in there that are just happy to be there and seeing all this cool stuff. We had all kinds of talent. We had Jackson Browne when he was a teenager. And he stayed at our house, because you're making $10 a show. The Four Muses concert venue. It's where I performed my first solo. I was in a surf band in 6th grade, but we didn't sing. First solo, 3 Cat Stevens songs, played way too fast, nervous as hell, and off we go. But that's where it happened. And then we had a float in the parade. Here's one of our years. We had a live band because they had a fiesta parade in San Clemente in the old days. Now they have they close off the street there. But we used to have a parade, like San Juan, okay? And we had a live band that year. I had a band that I created in the 70s. We made an album, and I wrote all the songs and produced all the arrangements on that, and lyrics, everything. And then my mom sang at the dedication to Dana Point Harbor in 1966. There she is right there. And here's Miss San Clemente and Miss Dana Point and Miss Laguna Beach and all that stuff. And here we are. When they finished the harbor, they brought us back up at Baby Beach. Here we are singing whaling songs while the tall ship was coming in. The Pilgrim was coming into the harbor. That's my mom, that's me, and that's some other folks there. And then my first 12-string guitar, there I am, Cabo Beach. And then I ran sound for Nixon in 1978 because he needed sound for one of his parties after he left office, and I got the call because I had the equipment. It was cool. I ate all the Olamani's food I wanted, and I actually got to hang out with Dick, and we talked about Orange County and the smell of the orange trees. That's what we talked about. It was very cool because he grew up in Yorba Linda. Graduated from Cal State Fullerton with a vocal music degree, and released my first CD of electronic string orchestra music with 120 different instruments in a day when nobody could do that. And then I founded the Capistrano Chorale. And that guy on the left, that's actually me. I have more hair, Still got the suit, but what can I say? When I was going through college, this is one of my theory from my Don Walker, my theory teacher at Saddleback College before I transferred to Cal State Fullerton. And this is a mess. It's bloody everywhere. It's just a mess. It goes, you better see me. It's so screwed up. I just wasn't getting it, right? But I pressed on. And even when my college teachers did this, I kept going. You can't sing. I don't care. I'm going to do it. And Don Walker is still a good friend of mine and still my mentor. I teach private and virtual voice coaching for singers, public speakers, and actors. I have an AA in music composition and theory and a BA in vocal music education with a California teaching credential in vocal music. Now we'll get to some good stuff. The health benefits of vocalizing. It is amazing. What does it do? It exercises our lungs and tones up our intercostal muscles and diaphragm. It improves our sleep. It improves heart strength and circulation by improving aerobic activity and decreasing muscle tension. Tones facial muscles, improves posture, and increases mental alertness. What is another thing physically that does kind of the same thing? Exercise, sports, right?
Yeah.
It opens our sinuses and respiratory tubes. Helps decrease the problem of snoring. Releases pain-relieving endorphins. That's a good one. It boosts the immune system. Reduces anger, depression, and anxiety. Improves the symptoms and effect of illnesses such as Parkinson's disease. These are all big things, aren't they? They're not minor deals. It's almost like I'm the snake oil. Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's going to help me do all that stuff. Yeah, you're just full of it. Turn off the TV. But the miracle of endorphins. This is a whole cool thing. We've heard that term before, but it's so cool. These neurotransmitters that are found in the brain have pain-relieving properties similar to what? Morphine. Wow. Wow. Endorphins interact with opiate receptor neurons to reduce the intensity of pain. Among individuals afflicted with chronic pain disorders, endorphins are often found in high numbers. So it's the body's natural way, and what gets that going just happens to be vocalizing. Isn't that interesting? This has been tested. Many pain-killing drugs such as morphine and codeine act like endorphins and actually activate opiate receptors. And Ren and Stimpy here, this is before they started singing down here. And look at them. They're like totally happy. Man, it's beautiful. Prolonged continuous exercise, including laughing and vocalizing. Why do you feel so good when you laugh? Why are comedy clubs so popular? It's not just the jokes. People are laughing. And the endorphins are going to the brain. And they feel good. Include laughing and vocalizing contributes to an increased production and release of endorphins, resulting in a sense of euphoria that has been popularly called runner's high. You ever heard that before? You got the runner's high.
Yeah.
Right? You ever had runner's high?
Yep.
Yeah. What's it feel like?
It's like a second wind. It's a burst of energy.
Burst of energy. Why is it a burst of energy? Because the endorphins are going in the brain, going, everything's cool. You got the natural morphine now. Enjoy. Keep going. And this just isn't snake oil. These are 5. Well, remember Patch Adams? We remember the movie. This is the real Patch Adams up here. This guy. And this is the whole philosophy of all these serious people. I mean, there were journals and tested. This guy in Germany actually they did like blood tests and all kinds of weird tests on a choir before they sang like the B minor mass or something. And then they sang the thing, and then they redid all the tests right away. And they found all these different things that had changed within their bodies and in their mind. It was fascinating. It's a fascinating study. But to understand, it's not snake oil. This stuff is really true. Proper breathing. But look at this guy. Look at this posture. How many times do you see somebody standing in line and they're like this? Doing all the stuff, man. Isn't it true? I mean, I've seen these people all the time. They're right, Abe.
Right.
And then you got. Well, who's this guy? Attention, right? Right. Inquire. They, sit on the edge of your seat, and put your chest out. Don't do like this. Why do they tell you that? So you look like you're professional? No, because you have to open up your body to be able to produce sound. You can't be in this kind of condition because you're collapsing your singing mechanism. And this thing is just, I have no confidence. I'm not going to sing nothing. So proper posture, just, walking around like this is important to not only vocalize, but to perform confidence and power. Would you agree?
Yes.
So let's learn how to breathe correctly. So let's all stand up. Yeah, that's you. If we stand up and breathe out normally, my vocal students all do this right, I'm sure. But we want to see, when we breathe, we don't want our shoulders to go up, right? So just think, breathe normally. That's the wrong way, right? And if we breathe from our core, our stomach, down here, put your hand down there and breathe into that space, that's a whole different way to breathe. Got that, Phil? Try it again. Down here, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. You all passed. Have a seat.
Thank God.
So, I was watching. I've trained some of the students I trained about how breathing. When you know somebody's breathing wrong, you see their shoulders move. That's all you know. So I had said, okay, my students, go over here and, when you're looking at a YouTube video, come back next week and tell me who breathed wrong. And they, all these these well-known singers were all doing this. And they had no phrasing. They were breathing all the time in their phrases, and because they had no air. They had no air to do what they had to do. And when you breathe from the abdomen, all of a sudden you can get, I would say about a 50% more air than I do, but if I go like this, and my stomach goes in. If I fill in down here, all of a sudden I'm filling up the gas tank, filling up the air. That's what we want to do. So breathing properly is one of the first important steps when we get into coaching and one-on-one to speaking with power and control. Has to happen. But it just makes sense. The truth is that most of us breathe in a fashion where we only inhale about 50% of the oxygen that we are capable of inhaling. 50%. That's like going to the gas station and going, I know my car, takes 13 gallons. I think I'll put in 6.5 today. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to go do that. And obviously, especially if you're planning to drive to San Francisco, might not be a good idea to do that. It actually causes problems when you don't have enough air. Hyperventilation. How many of you have had hyperventilation? Right? That's because you're not getting enough air. Your body's going, hello, hello. And when you breathe, you inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. Excessive breathing leads to low levels of carbon dioxide in your blood. This causes many of the mild and severe symptoms. Correct breathing corrects this problem. One of those stories that I had there was the student that was also a 200-meter runner. So I taught her, she was hyperventilating. She would run out 2 meters. Right? How many times we did that? I said, no, don't do that anymore. Don't do that anymore. Run your race, breathe slow, down in your core, on a different rhythm, a nice slow rhythm than you're doing here. And you're going to find out that you're not going to be hyperventilating at the end. If you get that rhythm wired of deep, slow, deep breaths, no matter what you're doing here, it's like playing 2 songs, because you get a different rhythm to this and a different rhythm to this. And she stopped hyperventilating. And she didn't come there for that. She didn't come to lessons for that. She came to learn how to sing, which she did. But this was a side thing. And within 3 to 4 months, she'd actually cut 3 to 4 seconds, as I recall, off her time, which is about a mile. 200 meters is like a mile. It's like 1 point something miles, 1.2 or something. But that's a big deal. Giant in that rate of time. Just because she had the oxygen and she wasn't going through all these hyperventilation. Hypoxia. During strenuous physical exercise, a mismatch between oxygen supply and its demand at the cellular level may result in a hypoxic condition. We also get this if you fly too high, right? You don't have oxygen, or you're in mountains, right? There's not enough. You get hypoxia. Now we get to the vocal power team. This is what I call my little phrase here: the vocal power team. Dun, 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 dun. It comes from the cartoon days where we had, these save of the day all the time. Vocal surgeries. Look at all these people that have had vocal surgery, and this isn't all of them. Check it out. See any names there you didn't think you'd see there? Frank Sinatra's there. Rod Stewart. Well, that kind of made sense. He kind of sounds raspy just from the beginning. Daltrey, Holly, Houston, Elton John, of course. Now, why is that? If I did the same list of people from the opera community, you know what it would be? Almost zero. Then why is that? Why is that? They're out there on the stage just blasting away. With multiple shows, just like the rock people are. Right? And they're like I call them the Ferrari singer. They got this. Why is that? Because the technique that they use is the technique that I teach. Because they know how to project and put that air in correctly, and through supportive vocalizing, get out there and be a Ferrari singer. Now, I'm not a big opera fan, but I understand that they have been trained differently. And so why is this? Because for some reason, especially with the expansion of the 60s music, here's my my feeling about it is that there's this whole thing. Like when I went to Cal State Fullerton, they didn't like pop music at all. We do not allow pop music at Cal State Fullerton. It was crazy because they were just like, we are classical. But the teacher I had, a vocal teacher, he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't teach me anything. So he didn't know. But, so we have, Joe Schmo, Jackson Brown coming down to the Four Muses and, playing his little song. He doesn't have any vocal training. He just opened his mouth and talked, right? So he's never had vocal training that I know of. Didn't have it then. And then we think, well, what am I? Oh, I'm just automatically an artist. I'm so great. I don't need training. I'm cool, And so this crossover never happened between the people that knew it and the people that are these people, except in some cases it did. And so you have all these problems. You have these people going on these tours. They're not getting enough oxygen. They're not supporting. They're sore, like the guy at the Angel Stadium. And there's a no-show tomorrow night, sorry. And there you go. And then what happens is the vocal cords are so sore, they start banging into each other. And if I hit my hand and my finger over and over for a long time, what would happen? I get a callus, right? And that's what happens to the vocal cords. They get a callus on them. And when they get a callus on them, they don't buzz. They go, ah! And then surgery can be done. It's a crapshoot. But we'll look at some of that coming up here. After many years of coaching and witnessing voices of all levels quickly grow in volume and clarity, using my natural techniques, I am convinced that many of these surgeries could have been avoided. That's a big statement. I believe that's true. I believe if someone like me had been there at the beginning with all these people, they wouldn't have surgery. There's no way. Here they are, the vocal power team. Remember these guys? And Tweety Bird's the coach. So we're going to talk about the abdominal system, the larynx, the throat, and the head cavities. These separate and incredible parts of our body that create singing and speech must work in coordination for us to perform our best work. They must function as a team, right? That kind of makes sense. So we're going to coordinate all that. So here's Luciano Pavarotti. You can tell he's got his core all laid in here. He's singing away, just having a blast. Now look at this guy, one of my favorite singers. He had surgery. Look at the strain here to get a high note now.
Especially now.
Why is that? Because he's not coming from here. He's coming from here. He's been coming in from here, from Woodstock.
Yeah.
And it caught up. And he had surgery. You don't have to look like this to sing. You can look like this, but you can be from here, and not look like this. All these guys, you see them and women trying to hit high notes now. What do you? They're going like this. Here's a nice, healthy larynx. This is a vocal cord. This is the front here, okay? And this whole marvelous system with the trachea here, these two things come together by these two bone cartilage mechanisms here, muscles that come, bring them together, and the air goes through and they buzz. Bzzz, bzzz. You want to eat something, they go apart, the epiglottis comes over, and everything goes down the esophagus. Here's a vocal note. See it over here? It's a little smaller. This is where that happens, usually in the middle. This is a callus. But it won't line up straight anymore. We'll see an actual video pretty quick here about this. The truth is that the way a car works is a lot like the voice works. So you got the abdominal system, as we'll find out, that delivers the fuel, right? We get the fuel in, air, and we get a lot of air, right? Full tank, not half a tank. And then what we do is we deliver that fuel under pressure to the larynx, which is the sound, which is the engine, right? A unique sound, like a Chevy from a Ford, right? Because we're snowflakes, remember? And then what's the throat and the head do? The muffler, the amplifier. This is where we get the glass packs. Okay? You know, whatever sound we want to make, type, loud, everything, we do it here. So we have to have the feel. We have to have the feel under pressure to be able to deliver to the larynx, which is the engine. Because if you don't deliver feel under pressure to the engine, what does it do? It sputters along. Right? It doesn't work. I don't care how much you press the gas. It doesn't work. And then if you got an exhaust pipe that fell off, what does that sound like? Well, that's pretty loud. What if you got a crappy exhaust pipe? You know, it's just not cool. So it's the same thing. It's the basic function of things. And in the abdominal systems, we have these great muscle systems. All come from the Greeks, I guess, right? So Kevin, read those 5 in James Mason's. Nice and loud.
The transverse abdominis,
Good job.
the rectus abdominis, external oblique muscles, internal oblique muscles, and the diaphragm.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Isn't it amazing what he's done? What a guy. Yeah, James Mason, I love it. So the diaphragm is this, here we are, it's a muscle that comes on top there. They call it like a parachute or whatever. Here's the lungs, thoracic cavity, and there's this separation right here. So what happens is when we support air going out, this diaphragm has to push up on the lungs, right? The lungs are passive. So something has to push the air out of the lungs. That's the diaphragm. But depending upon how you set up your airflow, depends upon how much this is involved, actually. But it's always there. But that's how it works. It's quite amazing. In its relaxed state, the diaphragm is shaped like a dome or a parachute. Here's some more pictures of that, kind of how that works. Here it is in here. Here it is in here. These are not real human bodies, by the way. So don't fall over and sick on me. But you can see the idea of the system. Airflow in and how push it up. Push the air out. The core. Now this is where it gets to be fun. Okay. The core. How many have heard about the core? We've heard about the core. We go to exercise class. The core. How's your core doing today? Oh, I don't know. How's my Chevy doing today? The core. You know, who's the guy with all the kung fu?
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, right? The core. Yeah, that's all. I'm at the core. Yeah, I'm going like this. The body's core is the area around your trunk and pelvis. It's where the center of your gravity is. It's so important. The strong core gives you what? Increased protection for your back, controlled movement, a stable center of gravity, a stable platform for sports, a stable platform for vocalizing. Very important. The main reason for the myriads of vocal problems that singers and public speakers, actors, and all vocalists have is they begin the thought to vocalize in their larynx and not in their core. That makes complete sense, because if I'm going to move my right arm, I think about my right arm, right? I go, okay, I'm going to move my right arm. If I think about my right leg, I'm not going to kick the ball. If I think I'm kicking the ball with my right leg, I'm not going to be thinking about my left leg. And if I'm going to vocalize, what am I going to think about? Well, the voice is in here, so I'm going to think here. So that's what happens. And the whole idea of breath support kind of just, yeah, it's working fine. And that's where we get in trouble. That's where things fall apart. Because we're going to find out that the true thing, and this takes, you know, being in an environment of as a student to go through this and really get it down. But we're now going to sing from here, vocalize from here, and not from here. Okay? The guy from The Who, he's vocalizing from here. Pavarotti is vocalizing from here. It's a big difference. And he was singing high C's, 105 years old. All true vocal power emanates from the core, not from here. That's just a little valve, a little passive little reed, as you said, on the clarinet. That's all it is. Just passive. It's not the whole show. And in my fabulous book, Singing and Speaking on the Edge of a Grunt, but it's now time to learn how to make our vocal engine run efficiently and with power. So if you look at here, here's all my students here at one time, and there's Sasha right there. See her? Da-da-da-da-da. Sitting right back there in the back row. Da-da-da-da-da. Here's a LA fireman here, right? A junior high school student. And how old was she here?
Natasha.
Yeah,
She was my student.
she's a little actress, and she was, I don't know, 8, 9 years old or something.
Yeah.
All working from the core. Look at them go. So proud of that. Now, let's just go ahead. I'll be the volunteer. But look at this guy. All these pictures of these people that are scared to do things. This guy has premenstrual tension. That's pretty funny. He's so scared to play, because he has no confidence. When you command your body to vocalize, do not think about the throat or the larynx. Don't even think about it. Just forget it. Don't even give it any thought. Instead, you must vocalize from your core, here. Because if I vocalize from here, isn't that nice? Vocalize from here, Is there any difference in that? It's giant. I'm not Superman. I'm just going from the core. Use the natural grunt as a foundation for all vocalizing. What does that mean? When you do a sit-up, where do you feel it? Right in the core.
Yeah.
Right at the base of your pelvis. Just think of it. Do that right now. Just kind of mimic a small sit-up. Just kind of feel where that happens. Now hold it. Just hold it. And then let it go. Okay? Now, do it again. Breathe into that space. Hold it. Grunt. Like, right? And now vocalize it. But keep this there. Try it. Just, yeah. Push it from here. Push it from here. Vocalize from the core. Now, learning that whole thing, since you've been doing it wrong for 500 years, is another thing. But that is the essence of it. That's where we were created to vocalize. But we don't do it naturally for some reason. It was just strange, right? A quick breath is a way to get oxygen quickly when we breathe. And I call that the scared breath, right? When someone goes, hey, ooga booga man, you go, right? And where do you go? Into your core. Do that. Do the scared. Right? Now do the scared and vocalize. You're scaring me. Right. So why do we want a quick breath? We want to get a quick breath because when we're singing especially, we don't always have time to breathe between phrases. So that's another thing we work on when we actually get in the studio and work on projects. Because the quick breath is important to get as much oxygen as possible to be able to do what we got to do. And here's our larynx. I just think the larynx is one of the most marvelous instruments I've ever encountered. It's just unbelievable how crazy this thing is. So here's this picture, the surgical picture. Now this is on a cadaver, so nobody's getting hurt in this picture. But look how big this is. Remember the little picture of the vocal cords? There they are. This is a finger here and a thumb. Isn't that crazy? It's crazy. Out of that goes, ah! Of course, we have the amplifier amplifying the sound. Still. And that thing creates notes. Some people have 3 octaves. Maybe. I got maybe 2. We did a test on Kevin. He had 2 the other day. Good man. So how does it work? So you have these are pulled apart, and then they come together and the air goes through, like a kazoo basically. And they're buzzing. Bzzz. Just do that. Bzzz. Be sure to take your core breath. Be sure to do that. Bzzz. Do it. There we go. Yeah. That's all it is. So the larynx is passive. Chords come together. The chords stretch to create notes, right? Like a guitar string, right? That's how pitch is. Stretch. Together, stretch. That's all it is. It's passive. It's a valve. And then the power comes from here. The power comes from here. You're going to get surgery. If you're one of those people that sing in concerts all the time. Like a guitar. Strings. Tuning. Same thing, box, amplifier, right? So here's a normal vocal glide. Am I crazy? See how it all came together there? The reason it was doing that was because it was pulling the chords. So everything just got intense. So there's a lot of muscle pressure going on, but not to create air. To the air coming through there and create a note. That's what it does. So let's look at some of the vocal nodules. Here is one of them.
It's so weird.
Yeah, that's Elton John came in and I need some, Adele, that's her. That's what you had. They try to cut it off. And what if you cut a piece out of a string? Just like like when they make guitars, they have the grains, in a strong position, right? Everything flows, like that. And the same thing with vocal cord. You start cutting it up and putting things in it, it never is going to be completely the same. It never is going to be the same. So, how about this viral? We've had viral infection, strep throat. You ever had that before? Okay, here's somebody with a viral infection. Ouch.
And again.
Okay. So, what do we do when we get that? You've had strep throat before. Right?
Yeah.
And I keep saying it. You go out there and you keep talking and whatever. You lose your voice, right? I lost my voice one time, completely from that.
Not a good thing.
Yeah. So we're coming up now to the next guy that didn't listen to the doctor. Plus, I guarantee you, they're not going from the core either. So the voice is already stressed because it's not getting the right airflow, and then it's all terrible. Then we get to the amplifier. Yay! The amplifier. Here's what we had when I was a rock star. We had this big old thing, I could feel it.
Carry around.
But now, here's a little larynx down here, right? And then there's all these resonating little chambers coming up in here. They go up in the nose and in the mouth. And what factors affect sound resonance? Size of space, just like in a room, right? Just think about it. Reflectiveness of the space, right? A bistro restaurant has a tile floor, so we get all that sound, right? Openness of the space, makes sense. Same thing with us. So if you have a lot of tension in here, right, because you're not supporting from the core, so here comes the original sound out of here. It's got to go through here, it's got to go through here, it's got to go through all these spaces. And here's where your lows and basses are, basically. And here's where your highs are. How you doing there? Do a telephone operator. Everybody, come on. How you doing there? Or like I teach my students, I pretend like you have a cold. Oh. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're moving this soft palate back over here to stop resonance going up in your nose. But just think, if you have a lot of tension right here, so the fundamental sound, before it even gets up here, maybe it's 50%, right? So how is that going to affect your sound? Big time. So you're never going to have that voice that you really have. So these are different resonating spaces in here. But the idea is reducing tension here, make it a valve, and then let this be open. Let it all just be open. And the work and the sweat comes from where? The core. That's where you sweat,
Yeah.
right? My students are in this, we're working out, and then, oh man, the sweat, oh my core. And then the nasal cavity, that's where our high frequencies are to get through this. And the oral cavity is basically where our low frequencies are. So it's a perfect instrument. If I close off my nose, my mouth, if I close off my nose, What? Amazing that I can do that. But the balance is you. So explain proper posture. Who can do that? Who can tell me? Proper posture. Don't do what?
Don't slouch. Don't
Right?
stand up straight.
Kind of like
Support.
attention, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like think of attention, you know, that kind of thing. How about diaphragmatic breathing? That's breathing where?
Core.
In the core, right? Not in the... Explain the use of the core to vocalize.
It's the gas.
It's the gas, it's the pressure, it's the Hemi engine, man. That's where it all is going on. And the vocal power team, okay, which is what? Core, larynx, amplifier, air, supported, larynx, engine. Engine's kind of passive, isn't it? Think about it, even in a car. Glass goes through, and if it's all set up right with the carburetor and like an old car, right? But even, it just sits there and runs. It doesn't run if you don't do those things. It just goes. Okay, that's all it does. And think about how this team works together. It's so cool. So cool, the vocal power team. Why is a piano hard to open? So hard to open. These are another.
Uh-oh.
I'm going on the road as a comedian, I think. So I'm gonna take some of these jokes. I'm testing them out tonight.
Okay.
What do you think?
Something to do with the keys.
He's getting there, man.
Yeah.
Because the keys were in the inside. That's right. I locked my key inside the piano. Keys inside the piano. These are like Bob Hope jokes, you know.
Hey.
Yeah. Why did the chicken join the band? Come on, man. Because he had the drumsticks, man. You gotta have drumsticks to play in the band. He's gonna put his.
No.
Is he gonna put his fingers on the tom-tom there? I don't think so. He got the drumsticks, man. Everybody out there in TV land, okay, and everybody around, there's a cool book. I'm actually a published author. That's quite a job to become a published author. And a publisher has to look at your manuscript and go, oh, that's pretty cool. So I was able to find one of those. And the book is $20. It's a signed book with my lovely wife on the cover. And the Kindle, which you can just Google the cover, is $9.95. It's not much. And my students have my book. Did you like that book?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
You're just saying that because...
He didn't even pay him to say that.
What was one of the things that stood out of the many marvelous things that I said?
Oh man. Well, you just covered everything.
Yeah, everything, right? Right. Here's what I want to do. Here's the kind of people I want to help. And I believe that the techniques that I learned, and I didn't learn these from anybody, okay? In fact, in college, nobody taught me this. They gave me the vocal coach that didn't know what he was doing. And he was a doctor. Of course, they all are, you know. I'm Dr. Foote. His name was Dr. Foote, by the way, and he was a vocal coach. It's Dr. Foote. That's right. I'll never forget Jeffrey Foote. He didn't teach me anything. He just made me feel like crap every time. It's just, you know, it went on and on. So I got out, and my vocal range was about to a C. Anybody who's a singer knows that ain't much. And after that, it got rough. It got weird and rough. That was terrible. If it got to a D, it was like, it was from here. I was singing from here. And it was, you know, I don't know how I got that album done, but I had two other singers, so it helped. I just sang the bottom part, and they did all the other stuff. But I guess there's got to be a way to do this. There's got to be a different way. So I just figured it out. I can't explain to you. Figured it out. And it made sense. My target audience, for lessons, is singers, public speakers. I've worked with all these people. Voiceover artists. You know, I got one right here, Kevin. actors. There's one right back there. And a singer. My wife's a jazz singer. Amazing. Oh, amazing. Amazing. Plus, she's an actress. So what happened when I touched your voice when I taught you this? What did you notice different?
Oh, the breathing.
Right, and the support, right?
Support, yeah.
She had also a nasally tone
Mm-hmm.
because she had her jaw all shut.
Right.
So she was all singing nasally, you know. All, you know, it's common. You see it all the time, especially in women. They tend more because women are already an octave higher than men, so their tone is already thinner than us generally. So they have, to get lower tone in a female is harder because of that difference, because they're already an instrument an octave higher than men. But it can be done. And anybody with a voice, so we'll just scrape them off the curve. You know? I just really feel that way. I feel that anybody can benefit from learning how to vocalize with power. Like this guy at the Angels game. He's not a singer. He wasn't a singer at all. He just...
You have a lot.
He's having a blast. He's still having a blast. Because what he learned works. He's not going to forget. He's not going to retreat and go back to the last guy in the video. You know, the throat. So I currently have openings for students, and I love working with new students because usually in the first lesson their voice changes. Almost all the time.
Sure.
Because all of a sudden they start going from here and this voice comes out. It's just like it's deeper, it's more powerful, it's immediate. You know, coordinating all that and then applying it to artistic works is a different thing. But that's how natural and wonderful this can be. I find it takes a minimum commitment of 3 months to begin to create a powerful and controlled voice. And my lessons are 1 hour a week, $300 for 4 lessons. Out there in TV land, anybody signing up for lessons? You know, off this, I saw the video. I'll give you 10% off. And you can connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Powerful Vocalist, Twitter, Vocal Trainer. Amazing that this was actually available on Twitter. Can you imagine that Vocal Trainer was available?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's really crazy. And of course, in 842-935-1949, you can text in info@yourvoice.com. How has your voice changed, Kevin, since you've studied?
The first time I tried it your way in the studio, it frightened me because it was so different than what I had before. And I've gotten a better bass sound, and I'm trying to work on my falsetto.
Yes, we're working on that right now with some Beatles songs. So we're
Yeah.
going into a singing. We work, the voice that we targeted for the low was Morgan Freeman,
Right.
the voiceover. And so to be able to get that lower tone and adjust his soft palate, to be able to bring in that and that techniques that would work. And he came back the next week and all of a sudden, my God,
Yeah.
Morgan's sitting here in the studio.
And it really helps with every other voice too. It adds
Yes,
a nice bass.
yes, which is good to have.
Yeah.
How about you, Jenna?
Well, the breathing from the core changed significantly because I used to get a lot of sore throats and I couldn't sing for any longer than maybe 30 minutes without feeling extreme pain.
Wow.
So after breathing correctly, I could sing longer and the voice completely changed into a stronger personality and detail than ever before.
Right, and now we're working, she's got an opportunity for a audition for a cartoon type thing, you know. So she's got this character that we're experimenting with, like, different sounds for the character.
Yeah?
They'll present the producer with, like, different type sounds and kind of characters, you know.
Yeah.
So they can have some options.
It's
And
exciting.
and it was all the same stuff we, you know, working with you and the tonalities and the soft palate and, you know, opening up the voice and amazing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
And when we started working on your jazz stuff a long time ago, what difference did you see?
Wow.
How about just from the core? You know,
Just
working
the
from.
core. I mean, I never worked with the core. I was a musical theater artist, and I did a lot of musical theater. but I was breathing from my throat.
Yeah.
That's how I was singing. And then I was nasal. And I thought I was the greatest singer in musical theater.
And I gently
And then
told her, you know,
gently told me, you can't sing.
you can do more than this.
You're more than this.
Trust me. Just, you know, just.
And he said to me, have you ever tried jazz? And I said, oh, I don't think I want to do that. Because I was used to musical
Really?
theater, yeah. And he says, maybe you should try it, because now your voice, you got the chord.
Right. Now we pull down the sultry kind of low
The sultry.
tone for that, and now she's pulling that in.
And I could do those deep
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah.
I could do them real deep.
Yeah, Kevin worked with a lot of jazz people because he played trumpet at casinos when he was young in the 20s and stuff, and his dad was music director out in Palm Springs or something. Yes,
Yeah,
or
Palm Springs.
yeah. So he has a big jazz background here. Trombone player. He's got the bone. How about you, Phil?
What about me?
Weren't you at the Met last year? Cool.
But,
So, anyways, thank you all for taking your time to come and being students, obviously, and Phil coming over after you in Hawaii. Good guy. It's great over there, and we're gonna get back singing jazz pretty quick here. Yeah. So you out there, thanks for watching. Of course, this will be saved on Facebook, so it can be replayed and everything else. So we're gonna say good night.